So tell me how things going as far as the search is concerned.
Well, at this point, I don't know what else I'll do. I've been thinking about sending out a second round of letters, but at some point I have to give up too. So what's your vote? Should I keep searching or give up?
The time to quit is
My
probably
name is
when.
Kathleen. I'm 26 and I live in Houston, Texas. I was conceived through an anonymous sperm donor, and all I know about him is that he went to Baylor College of Medicine in 1981. I was 8 years old when I learned about my conception, and my mom had been telling me for a few weeks that I was different and special, and she said, when you're ready to know, just let me know. I think I understood the concept. I understood my mom going to a sperm bank and using a sperm donor, but I didn't know the implications that it would have later in life. When I was a kid, it felt more magical, like to know that I had this abstract family that I'd never know. Then by the time I was a teenager, I think I became more curious about the man, like how was I like him, how was I different? Did we have the same hobbies? Did I have his physical characteristics? Things like that. Then as I continued to mature, by the time I was in college, I began to really miss him and understand the loss involved. It wasn't until college that I started to actively search. I went to the medical library, and that's where I found the Baylor College of Medicine yearbooks. And I Xeroxed the 1979 to 1984 yearbooks. I was really naive. I really thought that I would look in it and be like, well, this is the male version of me since I don't look like my mom. But instead I found that I could look like dozens, if not hundreds, of the men. I realized that some of the men, their appearance would change drastically from year to year because they might have a mustache one year and eyeglasses the next, things like that. And so because of that, I decided to cut out their pictures and glue it on one page so that I had one page per man. And then I did online searches to try to find recent pictures. By the end of that, I ended up with one page per man with his yearbook pictures, his recent photos through online searches, and his contact information through online searches for all 600 men. I basically just went through and tried to find the men who had blue eyes, and I wrote them first, and I'd look at their smile and just look for the features that I have that don't run in my mom's family. I got my friends to use sticky tabs, and they went through the binders that I created, and they marked the men who they thought looked the most like me. And so then the men who had the most sticky tabs on one page are the ones that I initially contacted. Well, I ended up writing all 600 men, and out of that, when I started, I figured if 5 or 10% of the men responded, that would be fantastic. That's really all I expected. But I received 250 responses. 40 men who had been anonymous donors came forward, and I went through 16 DNA tests in slightly over 1 year. I don't know, it was a combination of emotions. Even going to the yearbooks, it was exciting because I felt like that might hold the key. But it was also, it made me really sad that somebody would have to resort to going to a yearbook to find a biological parent. So the whole process was just such an emotional journey. And then when I'd get a response and think, okay, well, I may have found my family, I'd get excited, and then it'd come back as negative. So it was a constant emotional roller coaster. First time I met Miramon, it was it's just unusual. I've never been on a blind date, but I think it's kind of similar, except you're not wondering if this is a person you'll date. You're trying to figure out, well, is this my biological father or a classmate of my biological father? So when we first met, I didn't know if I should hug him or shake his hand. I had no idea, but he just came up and gave me a big hug. So I instantly warmed up to him. I had a DNA test with Miramon, and that came back as negative. Well, when I went into my search, I just was looking for my biological family, but what I ended up finding instead was a non-biological extended family through the Baylor graduates. And they now call me their collective pseudo-daughter, and so when they come to Houston, they'll send me emails or call me, and we'll go out for dinner. It's not the outcome that I expected, but it's definitely been a very positive and a touching one. And so I still hope that my biological father will come forward, but in the meantime, I'm very grateful for these other friendships.